Hello and welcome to Real Estate and the Adventures of Parenthood with Cindy Presgraves. And today my episode is going to be a little bit different. Like I said, it's an adventure. Life is an adventure. And you know what? We never know what we're going to encounter. So let me tell you a little bit more of background story of what actually happened a few years ago before actually how I ended up in the whole, guess what, egg donation process. That's why I've been a little bit able, I've been a little bit more like, hey, let me see if I should say it or not, talk about it. But I need to talk about this because a lot of women out there don't don't talk about it, and it's not spoken about it enough. In the past few weeks, in the past few months, I've met a lot of fabulous, wonderful women. And, some of them are going through infertility. Some of them are going through issues like endometriosis. Some of them are trying to conceive. Some of them have had multiple miscarriages. And some of them are looking for different alternatives, such as you know, ways of adopting a baby, or, can I find a surrogate? Can I find someone that will give me an egg? Or what about sperm? Or is it going to be someone that is going to be close by me, or so forth? There's so many things that can actually change. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't know about the process. A lot of people don't understand how important this is for a woman or a family to have, an actual family, meaning a man and a woman, same sex. It doesn't matter what sex you are. Sometimes you want to be that parent, but how can you achieve that? So let me tell you my story and how all this began. Back when I was 16, I had like lots of cramps. And I'm going to get into a little bit details here. So I was having a lot of issues like with um, a lot of pain. And when I was 16, the doctor told me I wouldn't be able to have babies, especially when I grew up. And for me, it was like, what am I going to do? I mean, I've always wanted to have a family. I've always wanted to have kids. And when I was 23, was when, 23, 2024. When I was 24 years old, they discovered I had endometriosis, and this is back in 2010. So in 2010, I went through the surgery, laparoscopic surgery, because I had a lot of pain to the point that I would say that I had freaking flyer miles, or freaking flyer, yeah, freaking mile, yeah, freaking flyer miles. And I was like, what is wrong with me? They did, in 1 year, they did three endoscopies and colonoscopies. And it was like really painful because they told me I had an ectopic pregnancy. It was not a ectopic pregnancy. Miscarriage. It was never miscarriage. They told me that I had ulcers in my stomach, which is true because I did get oh my gosh, um, Prilosec for my ulcers. But then I lost like so much weight. So if you look at a picture of me when it was like 2008, 2009, 2010, I was skinny, like skinny, skinny, skinny. And I look sick too. But sometimes there's ways that our bodies tells us that we're sick and we're not happy. Let me get that into another episode. But in this case, I want to talk about infertility. And it was like really frustrating for me because I didn't have like options, or I didn't have like answers, and I was really really stressed because I really really wanted to know the answer of what was really going on. And so I went to multiple doctors, and until, like I said, I remember because it was so painful to sit down. Sometimes it was so painful to stand up, and I was like, I don't know what I have. Like my lower back was killing me. It was so much pain that I felt like I had needles, and nothing would work. Nothing. Like I went through birth control, I went through different nothing, and even changing my diet too. But I was still in pain, and I did not know that I had endometriosis. So I was in Minot, North Dakota. The doctor told me, "Hey, you got to go to an OBGYN." I'm like, "But I'm not pregnant." She's like, "Yeah, this thing that I think you got endometriosis." And I'm like, "Okay, let me go to the doctor. Let me see what they say." They told me, "Okay, we need to schedule a surgery ASAP." When I got there, and they found out that I had endometriosis, and they did a laparoscopic surgery through my belly, and it was scarring. They actually categorized the endometriosis to make it better. And then I got into a 1 year, I think it was 6 months, 6 months or a year, Lupron Depot. So it was like to reset my body completely so I can get pregnant. Then in 2011, they told me that my tubes, no, wait, 2012, 2013, they told me I had my tubes were, um, my tubes were clogged and that they will probably have to perform surgery. So during that time, it was like May 2013, May or March, I had a histopenogram. A histopenogram is a process that they will insert dye into your fallopian tubes to see how they are. And effectively, my tubes were clogged. So that's one of the reasons I couldn't get pregnant. And then later on, I found out on June 2013 that I was pregnant with my first child. So I went through a process of, not being able to have kids and then finding an alternatives and finding what was the whole process. And this is not the story for everybody, but there is hope. It's just finding the right doctor is going to guide you into the right process and how you can actually be able to conceive that child if you wanted to. And sometimes there's different ways or there's methods that alternated need to be alternately discovered or found or see what would be a better option for that couple or for that person completely just because not everybody um not everybody understands, not everybody agrees. It all has to do sometimes with religions, with perspectives, with values, morals, every little thing. But at the end of the day, when you want to have a kid, either you adopt or you go through a fertility process. And this time around, so my brother, I speak openly about my brother. I love my brother dearly. My brother is married to military, and my brother's gay. So my brother is same sex couple, and they've always wanted to have kids. And jokingly, like 5 years ago, they asked me, "Hey, can will you donate? Will you be willing to donate your eggs?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, I'll do it." Okay. Now, before this whole thing happened, I wanted to donate my eggs when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and so forth, just because it wasn't because of the money. They paid really good money for donation. And I think you can donate up to 6 times. I think you can donate up to 6 times. I think it's up to 3 times a year, but double check on that because I'm not so sure. But in this case, I had looked at it, but I was always scared in the process of if I go ahead and donate my eggs, where are these eggs going to end up? I don't want to have like 10 years or 15 or 20 years later say, "Hey, you are my mom." And what if that child, like for me, it was like, what if that child would end up in the wrong hands? Or, who would be the parents? Or will I ever find out? I mean, believe me, then I'll explain this in a little bit. But it was a whole process. And for me, it was like, wow, I've always wanted to help someone else having kids because it's a joy. It's a blessing. A baby is a blessing. And my brother talked to me we had talked about it and I'm like, okay, you know what? And he said, and I told him this, look, I do not want to get into a relationship until after I donate the eggs. After I donate the eggs and I can move forward with my life and, maybe get into a relationship or start dating. I've been single for 2 years. So in this case, we had talked about this last year. They said, hey, you know what? We're gonna go in February. January. We're gonna start the process. I'm like, okay. Anyways, I wasn't really paying attention just because I've been so busy with my stuff in my life. I mean, I do have 2 little boys, and I love them to that. But on March, he's like, hey, um, we're starting the process. I'm like, perfect. Okay. So there is a lot that entails into egg donation. You have to be healthy. They're going to do a CBC. They're going to do a complete genetics test. They're going to do I think they also did, oh yeah, they also did a saliva test for the for genetics and all that too. And that was one of the tests they did. Then they also, I am 30, I just turned 37. So when I did the egg donation process, I was 36. So for my age in the egg donation world, I am old. But in my case, after all my studies, all my tests and all that, they said, hey, I have, my eggs are above average for my age, which is perfect. So now that after I did the test, the blood test, the genetics test, the DNA test, every single little thing. Now they did an ultrasound, and they had to wait for my period to come in, because once my period was in, then that was most likely when everything started. They needed to do that a week before my period started. So I always track my period completely in an app, and right now I'm doing it in an Apple app. So I always keep track of that. And then the following week, when my period started, that's when they actually had to do the ultrasound. So I remember I was in Austin, I was in a conference, and they're like, the doctor calls like, hey, you need to do your ultrasound today. Oh, and also you have to do a psychological test too, making sure, I think it's a psychiatric test, meaning you do a psychological test, and then you are evaluated by a psychologist to make sure that you are okay, that you are willing and able to donate, that you're mentally stable. And that is something that sometimes people will say, yeah, yeah, I'm going to do it. But then, am I really going to do this? Is this going to be something that I really want to do? And in my case, I'm like, yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. Okay, let's go. So it was interesting what the psychologist said about myself, just because I am so alpha female. And he says, I remember he said one of the things was like, hey, you know what? You seem like you're a goddess or something. Like, no, I'm a very busy person, meaning that I am willing to do anything and everything that it takes. I'm a mom, I'm an author, I've been on a TV show, I'm a realtor, I do cryptocurrency trading, I do stock trading, I have a podcast. And he's like, oh, this is what I understand. This is why, yeah. He's like, don't you have a little bit on your plate? Oh, yeah, and I also train and get up at 4:30 in the morning. Okay, so then that was one of the things. So these psychological tests are really, really interesting, though. Cannot remember what his exact words were, but I did learn about something too. There are books about the magical eggs, meaning the eggs that you're donating, if you have kids, and how to explain it. Okay, no, so now moving forward to the process is, I went ahead, I was in Austin. I was like kind of irritated because I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding. Well, if you don't do it now, then you're gonna have to wait till next month. I'm like, look, I am going to Mexico, and I am not going to wait till the next month. I am going to do this now. So I called my brother. I'm like, you deal with this. You got me into this. You're going to find a place, a facility, so I can get the ultrasound, because it was like, once you start this process, there's no like, oh, I'm gonna do this later. It has to be that day or that time. So everything is so strictly calculated, and it's a time thing. So I did it the first day, because then that weekend they had to actually make sure that I would have I was able to donate eggs and all that, and that my ovaries were good too, so I can start the medical process, meaning hormones treatments. There were like four type of hormone treatments that I had to take, but most likely it was two injections a day. And then when I was getting to the last few days, it was three. It was four. I think it was like 2 in the morning, two at night. Cannot remember right now. But when you're going through the hormone process, it's just like blood test, ultrasound every other day. And in my case, because my brother lives in Louisiana, but we all did this in Dallas, Texas, I had to go ahead and from Louisiana, I had to fly in from Atlanta to Texas. And this is like, if you follow me on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, then I did post on Facebook and TikTok. So during this process, it's like, I remember I was like, well, you know what, I'm doing this. I was taking the ultrasound and blood tests here in Braselton, which is a reproductive fertility clinic too. And the doctor calls me, no, my brother calls me Wednesday night, and he's like, "Hey, I know it's 5 o'clock, but can you jump on a plane and get over here because you have an appointment tomorrow?" What? He's like, "Yeah, the doctor wants to see you." I'm like, "What? You're kidding me, right?" He's like, "No, no, you need to be there tomorrow." Okay, thank God that I have the flexibility to just go ahead and jump on a plane and say, "Okay, let's just go ahead and do this." I was less than 12 hours in that place, and I was like, "You kidding me, right?" And my brother is like, "No, we gotta make it." Okay, fine. So I get there like at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was starving. Anyways, I think I got the appointment. It was like a 7:30 or 9:30, so I can hop on a plane at 1 o'clock so I can come back to Atlanta. All right. Then I had an appointment on that Monday, Wednesday, and then that no Monday was like my last day, and then I had to do another appointment on that Thursday, Friday. So I had like 6 ultrasounds in total during this whole process. And on Friday, I remember it's like, okay, so I have to go ahead and fly back into so yeah, Thursday. So Thursday night I had scheduled my appointment. I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna get there. So I'm gonna have the appointment on Friday, and then I'm going to be able to donate my eggs on Tuesday or Wednesday. Get there to the airport. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was like a lot of cancellations on that Thursday. My flight was supposed to be at 10 o'clock. All right. It was like they delay. I'm like, I'll be there at midnight. No, delayed. So there was like a humongous line. I was like, okay, I call my brother. I'm like, look, I need to be there because I am donating. Like, he's like, you need to get your butt here. I'm like, okay, I'm just trying. I'm trying to find a place. I'm trying to find what airline can I fly. Luckily, I got into Southwest Airlines. Fine. I traveled with Southwest Airlines. I arrived to Love Field, Texas, and they we had to move the appointment to 9:30 because I got there like at 8 o'clock or something. So good thing is that it was like around like eight-ish, or it's like 10 minutes or 15 minutes away from the airport, which is awesome. So going before this whole thing, before I actually went through the egg donation process, meaning like the retrieval egg, I like I said, I had to calculate my time like around like between 6 and 9 p.m. every single night. I had to inject myself 2 to 3 times a night, and it was with hormones. One with, I cannot remember the medications right now, and they made me like really tired, and I was like, okay, I'll do this, and I was sleeping a lot, and plus I was also I had changed my diet into being a vegetarian because that way I could actually um, focus more and just be me, I guess. So after that, the last 4 days I had to do morning injections and night injections. There is I don't remember what their this hormone is called. But on that Friday, everything was fine, everything was good. So now to mature those eggs, I had to do a to mature the eggs and to prevent the eggs from to prevent myself from ovulating. Oh, because before this whole thing is when you're in your period, okay, they want to take control over your period, right? They're going to get you into birth control. So you're in birth control for around 5 days, and then you're just going to continue bleeding. Then after that, you're gonna go ahead and do the second ultrasound, and then that's when the medications start. So you're gonna do that between 10 and 11 days. Then after that, when you start the medication, then you have the two injections, which I actually did in my tummy. I actually did a video of it too. So either on your abdomen, your thighs, or your arms. So there's 6 places you can actually do it. So then after that, okay, the last day, 17th, That's when I actually did the ultrasound. Everything was good. Now this is going to be really, really interesting. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the trigger hormone, which is actually going to mature the eggs, and I have to have a pregnancy test. The funny thing about all this is that my brother's like, "Can you just buy a reusable one?" I'm like, "No, you can't buy a reusable. You cannot reuse a pregnancy test at all." He's like, "Oh, okay." That was hilarious though. So you could definitely say that he's never been with a woman. So I was really scared for this one because this needle for um, the trigger hormone is that it's like this big. If you're not watching, it's probably like it's really thin. It has to actually hit in your buttocks muscle. And then 24 hours later on that Sunday, I had to have a positive pregnancy test without being pregnant. So I haven't had intercourse and all that in a very, very long time. And I got a positive pregnancy test. So then that Monday, on that Friday, the doctor told me you're going to be ready for Monday. So that's when it happened. I got into the process at 8 o'clock, um, 8 in the morning, and I was done before noon. So by 10, 11 o'clock, they actually had retrieved it. It was like a really simple process. I didn't feel a thing or anything. I did feel afterwards like somebody had hit me in the ovaries. When I'm telling you somebody had punched me, that is the way that I felt. But other than that, I didn't feel anything. I didn't bleed, nothing. So, like I said, it's a very, very interesting process. And I am very, very grateful to be part of this process with my brother and my brother in law. And we actually got the results. So um, they were able to retrieve 6 eggs, and they were all fertilized, meaning that we found out the sexes of the babies. So this is like so advanced. You can find out if they're good or not, how many have been fertilized. So the first time they retrieved the 6 eggs, 6 of them were fertilized, and four were is wait 6 were fertilized. Wait, inseminated. 4 were fertilized, and then 3 were good. So out of all of them, 3 were the good ones. So now we're going to go into the surrogate process, which is pretty interesting. I know these surrogate personally. My brother knows them. They've been really good friends. So, and the babies are going to be born in North Dakota. Guess what? By my same doctor. So has been such an amazing journey so far. So I'm going to keep you guys updated. If you guys have any questions or anything, please let me know in regards to infertility, about donation, egg donation, about sorority. There's a lot of things that you have to come into contract. Like, even though my brother is my brother, I love him to death, but legally we have to have like, who's going to call. I mean, am I going to be involved in their life and not? Or and I'm very close to my family, so I mean, I see them every other weekend sometimes. And and explaining the whole thing, the process to the kids too when they become bigger. Are we going to tell them that these are magical eggs, or are we going to tell them the truth when they become big? And it's all a biological thing, but in the hands of science. So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys, like I said, if you guys have any questions, this is Cindy Presgraves, and I hope you really enjoyed this uncommon topic today. So, like I said, feel free to share, comment, and let me know if you guys want to hear more of this process. Have a beautiful day.